Hello. This is video number 4, I think, of my short introduction to the cards. The Empyrean deck. Here's the back of the cards. And the first thing that you should really know generally about the structure of the deck is that these cards fall into a pattern. They have something like suits and they have something like royalty. In this case, there are 8 suits, but they're not suits. They're called houses. You may have noticed, so here's the 3 cards I've talked about so far: Knight, Garden, and Mentor. And if you've been paying attention, you will have noticed that they all share this symbol at the bottom left corner. It's the symbol of the chalice, the Holy Grail. And this is the icon that represents the house of the Great Mother. So each house, so there are 8 houses. Each house has 8 cards. And amongst those cards, one is the throne of the house. And all the other cards in the deck, so these are the other 3 cards we talked about, these are Dominion cards. A Dominion card is basically any card in the deck that's not a throne card. But every Dominion card is in the dominion, or under the power, as we say, of some throne. And so this is the first throne card. It's the throne of the house. The house is called the House of Life. And the 8 houses generally represent the different dimensions, the different sort of basic foundational aspects of the world in which we live as humans. They're sort of our existentials. They're the things that without which we could not be the kind of being that we are, or experience the kind of a reality that's as rich and as complex as it is. These are these basic kind of dimensions of who we are. And one of them is that all of us who are alive are born to a mother. That we are, all of us who live, and this is the House of Life after all, so all of us who live are in the House of Life. And what we all have in common is, in some sense or other, we have a mother, even if it's just a single cell, right? That cell is the mother that gave birth to these 2 cells, right? We all have a mother. And that it isn't just sort of an incidental, kind of coincidental fact of our being. That's a fact that really binds us together in this very specific way, right? We're all in the same house. We're all in the same life. We all have, in some broad sense, the same kind of rules that we have to play by and things that we have to experience, because we actually experience stuff. That's what it means to be alive. So the mother, if you get this card, it represents sort of 2 different things. On the one hand, it can represent sort of that particular blessing, which is just sort of the same blessing shared by all who are alive, the blessing of life, right? That's the basic blessing. But it also represents, remember, each card is a blessing, and so that's the first blessing, the blessing to be alive. There's an additional blessing, right? Throne cards are twice blessed, you might say. They have this additional blessing of the person, right? The character, the sort of, the Greek god, or the archetypal kind of centrifugal force, or like a tornado of meaning and importance and values and intentionality. So in this case, the throne, and that's what a throne is. A throne is sort of the axis around which all of these different dimensions of the House of Life, it's the throne around which they all sort of converge, right? It's that sort of geometric center of the structure. And in this case, if we want to know something about that, we'll just have to look quickly at the principle and the virtue, which we already know about, right? So the principle is the way in which that one gives its blessing. In this case, the vehicle of the blessing is loving kindness. So anytime we experience loving kindness, anytime we treat others with loving kindness, that is sort of the very being of this image, of this kind of Platonic essence, right? That's the way, that's its operative universe, say, is loving kindness, those acts and those feelings. And then the virtue, the benefit of that is that it's life-giving. In other words, we give each other our life. We kind of we sort of feed one another in this sort of generous giving way. So we're not just surviving ourselves, which is possible but quite boring. We live in this way that is constantly in this kind of nurturing relationship with others. So that's a wonderful blessing to have, right? It's and that's sort of the basic, and so that's sort of the basic vehicle, I guess, of that energy, right? Of that wonderful power. So again, there are 8 houses. These all are in the house of life, and the throne of the house of life is the Great Mother. And so in the examples going forward, some will be throne cards and some will be dominion cards. And dominion, remember, dominion is just any card that's not a throne card. In the next video, I'm going to actually say something about how to do a spread of these cards. So I've been talking so far about cards as individual cards. Now, what happens when you try to lay them out? So if you're interested in that, stay tuned to the next video.